Here's somebody that I'm going to say some good things about rather than picking on them and exposing them. And I've heard of him before. He's just recently come back to my attention when I was studying the ancient Egyptian mysteries and different theories on that lost civilization. Well, not too lost, very much of it is above ground, and we know where it is, even though we have differing theories about it. And he's in that genre. He's an archaeologist of some sort. I don't know all of his credentials, but did I say his name yet? Graham Hancock. He was at the Tipping Point Prophets Conference, and they did some videos on that, and that was within the past year. So you do a search on his name. Oh, even Project Camelot interviewed him. I'm not surprised that they would gravitate towards him. He talks about supernaturals and consciousness, exopolitics and the supernatural, ancient past, lost civilizations and cataclysms. So what I want to say is, like, when I listen to this guy, I can tell that there's a lot of knowledge there, and I can really appreciate that. And I also can tell with the attitude of what he's trying to do that he's doing it in a mature way, a respectful way. And on the projects that I've been able to sample from, just recent research, I don't know everything about him yet, but on the recent stuff that I've seen, and in fact it's not too recent of the things, something from like 1980 or no, it was 2000, and they had done some undersea work around the coast of India, and this to me is very fascinating, because we need to understand the past in order to come to terms with the fact that we could destroy ourselves all over again. Now, I have said that I take him as credible and fascinating to listen to. And I don't say that about a lot of people. I see a lot of frauds out there. But what I want to say specifically is that he was involved with pushing back the timeline. The current theory, or what they consider the law under the establishment scientific establishment, human civilization did not exist before, I think it's something like 3500 BC, and they refused to push it back any further. This is called Neolithic. You've got your different ages. You've got the ages that we're in now, nuclear age, plastic age, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be subdivided so many ways. But before that, it was there's Bronze Age, there's Iron Age, and then there's Stone Age. And back then, 5,000 years ago, everybody across the face of the planet was using stone tools. And as if stone tools are that bad. Come on. You ever see a black obsidian, well-worked tool? Black obsidian is basically a volcanic glass. It's better than steel. But I'm not going to go into all the particulars of the minerals and stones and stuff. But Stone Age is a real stupid insult also made up by the establishment. But listen here. If 5,000 years ago there was nothing going on, and they wouldn't hear of it, And in fact, nothing in ancient Egypt could be from before then. Even though I have some other information that seems valid, that the Sphinx, at least, possibly some of the other creations there, not all of them, but the earliest ones, predate this 5,000-year limit. And we're going back like 10,000 or more years. We're going 11,000 years, possibly 12,000 years. So Graham Hancock is really into that because he's not establishment dogma. He's not in on the take with the good old boys of science, academia. That's another thing I like about him. I can respect that because I'm that way about everything. Science, politics, religions, culture, art, food, you name it, even relationship. I do what I feel is right, and I'm really pushing the bounds to get my optimum life actualized. It means making a lot of mistakes, more mistakes than anyone could ever imagine who's living in a box and being the mainstream. But that comes with the territory. Mistakes. And you want to learn from them as quickly as possible. You want to admit to it and then adjust. Now, back to Graham Hancock, because he says, off the coast of India, prior to the ending of the Ice Age, in other words, it was during the Ice Age, and everybody knows they date the most recent Ice Age to be about, what is it, like 12,000 or 12,500 years ago? I don't even know if that's correct. But in any case, if it's true, and if what he's saying is true, that there was civilization in different parts of the earth, like around the coast of India, they were far advanced by some of the artifacts that they found and by some of the structures that they seem to have found. And what happened was, the ice melted, obviously, because you don't find too much of it anymore. The ice caps. And all this water was released. So it goes running off the land, and it goes filling up the ocean basins, and the sea level rises. They say it was 400 feet increase of the level across the globe. So I only heard that estimate once, but maybe it is the going rate. 400-foot rise. That's a lot, even though I know in the more ancient past, millions of years ago, that it raised up to 15,000 feet. So that's a whole other issue. We're talking about ancient prehistory. But when you talk about just 12,000 years ago, it's pretty recent. And these coastal areas or lowland areas got flooded, they got inundated, and people died, and people lost everything. And they had to pick up the pieces again and reestablish civilization. What happened was this, okay? He was working with some people in India, and apparently the ivory tower of science got angry, and they said, you didn't do it right, you didn't publish it, you just jumped to conclusions and you stated all this stuff. We're not going to go along with that. Obviously you're wrong because you didn't follow the right procedure to get yourself respected. No, that's not what they didn't do to get themselves respected. They didn't go through you in your official channels of so-called factual science. That's the real problem. That's what they're implying viciously. So what happened was they covered it up. So India and the Navy, who's in charge of the coast, and the other officials there who don't want to rock the boat, they were probably paid off Or they just colluded and said, yeah, it's best for all of us not to know about this. Pre-Harappan, pre-Indus Valley, pre-Vedic, supposedly, if the Vedas are dated properly, pre-Sumerian, pre-Egyptian. No, 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 no. We can't have any of this. We can't even explore it. We can't believe it. Obviously something's wrong. They covered it up. I can't find anything new on it, but perhaps since 2000, 2001 there is, and I'm going to look into it. If you know something, make a comment. Graham Hancock just did this conference in the past year, so I'll have to look into that and see what he's saying, if there is a cover-up, because he's all over the place with archaeology, not just the ancient Indian coastline. Thanks for listening. Send this out to all your friends who are interested in ancient history and mysteries. Favorite it, thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe. Thanks for listening.